If you're building a job board, then you need to hear this. Sam started Zero Tax Jobs almost by accident, but within a year, he'd outranked industry giants like Indeed and LinkedIn on Google. In this interview for the JBoard YouTube channel, we break down exactly how he did it, from choosing a niche to dominating SEO with backlinks. If you want more traffic and better conversions for your job board, then this is one that you can't afford to miss. Let's jump in. Sam, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Martin. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So, Sam, let's jump straight into it. Why don't you give me a bit about your professional background and what led you to start up Zero Tax Jobs?
My background's quite complicated. I left the UK when I was 21, moved to Japan as a neuroscientist. So I was specializing in fMRI, reading the human visual system and basically decoding those signals using something pretty similar to AI, modern AI now. But in the in the night times, I was moonlighting as a nightclub promoter, working with bands like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, CSS, Metronomy, members of the Stone Roses, and I ended up basically quitting my neuroscience job at some point to start a crowdfunding company for live music. And I worked in Japan for a long time doing that. And I explain this because, one of my big loves is music, concerts, crowdfunding, that kind of social element you get with that kind of product. But coronavirus came 8 years into that business. And in Japan, it crushed the live music market. We couldn't do a single concert. We couldn't do anything. This whole business I built up to like a 7-figure USD revenue business on my own. Just couldn't run it, couldn't get anybody out. Luckily, I ran a cash positive business and I was able to sell off my assets, and I sat in a very good place, not technically having to do anything. But I knew I needed at some point to get back on the horse and start working again. So I started doing consultancy stuff around computer programming, AI, things like that. But I was still had this thing like, I really want my own thing. When you do consultancy, you feel like an employee. You still do, and I prefer not being an employee. I prefer making the decisions. So I was looking for just a side project, something to do. And it's funny, when I was 20 and I started that crazy crowdfunding business, I was fearless and I would try anything. Probably because actually I say fearless. I'm probably stupid is probably the right word. So yeah, I would just try stuff, without thinking about it. And hey, some stuff worked.
Yeah.
But as a guy in his 30s, that changes and you start going, oh, this isn't a good idea. This is never going to work. That's idiotic. Don't do it, So every idea I had, I was just putting it in the bin. And eventually I said, look, you just have to build something. Because the more you build something, the more ideas you'll have, you'll enjoy it, you'll commit to it, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And at the time I was doing a project in Golang, or Go, some people call it Golang, but it's Go. And I'd never written Go before, but I really enjoyed it. I thought, wow, this is a really cool language. It's just so simple and clean. And yeah, I like it a lot. And I just said, you know what? I really want to write more Go. So what can I do to write more Go? And I thought, well, what's really easy when you don't know a language? A job board. A job board is not a complicated thing to build if you code. It's a very simple thing. And so, I was like, okay, I'm going to build a full stack Go application, a job board. So that was why I got started. So very long story to get there, but that's why. And I had to choose a niche. And I was like, what's my niche going to be? And from my experience in Japan, I had a friend. He ran a job board. His name's Paul McMahon, and he runs a job board called Tokyo Dev.
Yes.
.com. Japan Dev is another site. Another guy runs that, Eric. But yeah, both really good job boards. And he basically they both have done this thing where they got a really niche job board specifically around finding English speaking software developers jobs in Japan. And they've grown these businesses really nicely, with very small teams. And I thought, having seen the transformation from when Paul first started, which was that basically, Japanese companies did not know how to communicate to foreigners. They didn't know how to say, hey, come work for us. They were still doing things in a very Japanese way. They weren't international enough. Paul really helped improve their understanding of what it took to attract international developers. Things like wage transparency, things like explaining the visa system, things which seem obvious to us, but to a Japanese company, no, you just know, wouldn't you? If you want to come to Japan, you just know. But no, of course, it's not like that. So Paul has basically made a great business doing that. And I spotted a lot of similarities between that market and the UAE, Dubai in particular. I really thought this market, it doesn't have that level of sophistication that the Japanese market's developed for attracting international developers. It's a bit different from Japan because it's a headhunter market. Most of the companies, they bring in international talent, and that international talent isn't necessarily saying, I want to move to Dubai. It's a headhunter contacting them saying, you could move to Dubai. You didn't know it was an option. Why don't you come? And, those headhunters are making a lot of money doing that. And these companies are paying a lot of cash to bring them over. And I started thinking, I think there's probably an angle to really educate people that the Dubai's an opportunity you should be thinking of anyway as a software developer. So this was kind of an opportunity that I saw, and I saw that nobody was running a good niche job board for software engineering and technical work, and any kind of tech work for that market. So I started thinking, what should I do? How should I market this? What's the idea? And I thought, well, probably a lot of people who are looking or interested, the thing they're most going to be interested in is not paying taxes, no income tax, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I can probably make something around that. And I came up with zero tax jobs because that's what it is. It's a very simple domain name. It's very easy to remember, and it says exactly what it is. So I started there, and I started thinking, okay, actually, maybe it's not just Dubai. It can be all over. It can be everything. And so when I started, I kind of went more with the zero tax angle. I was talking more about zero tax. But quite quickly, I started to realize, no, I really need to niche specifically around specific countries where there's most demand if I'm to grow this in terms of SEO. Anyway, I'll stop there because I hope that's explained what you asked me.
So that's super interesting. Super interesting. So kind of building the job board came around by accident because you enjoyed writing in Go, or developing in Go, whatever you want to call it. And so came around by accident.
These days, it's prompting AI in Go, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Prompting AI for Go. That's what it is these days, isn't it? Vibe coding.
Letting an agent decide which language is best or something. Just say, I want to build a job board and let it go. So job board was the simplest kind of way of kind of messing around with the code. Deciding on a niche because of your acquaintances in Japan, and then kind of going for it, and then realizing that actually, rather than niching on the zero tax jobs, niching on the location as well, because it's about kind of getting deeper and deeper into that.
Just to jump in there, actually, I should explain this more as a mistake. Really, I think it was getting greedy. I mean, sometimes you come up with an idea, and originally the niche idea was UAE, but then I got a bit greedy and did that classic thing of going, oh, I can appeal to everybody. I can get a much bigger market, and that's a mistake. And I realized that quite quickly. No, you can't. You're never going to rank on Google with SEO if that's your traction option. If you want to bring people in through Google search, you're never going to rank with something kind of generic that people aren't searching for. People aren't searching for jobs with no tax. No one searches for that. Income tax-free jobs, that's what I want. No one thinks that. They might think it in their head, but if they think it, they think, what are the places where I can get an income tax-free job? And then they go, okay, I can go to UAE, I can go to KSA, I can go. And then they start searching for their job title in that place. And so if you want to get the traffic in, you have to position yourself in the way that the users are searching. So that was a mistake, I think, that I made very early on.
But then quickly recognize that mistake and solve that by focusing back down. And so is it UAE, wider UAE, or is it Dubai, or so where are you focusing your niche on?
So the keywords I use right now are Dubai and Saudi Arabia
Okay.
because it's a funny thing. I don't think many people go and search United Arab Emirates, UAE jobs. It's not really the way they do it. They tend to search Dubai. It's a high traffic word, and Saudi Arabia is also a high traffic word. And so I kind of positioned around that, and that's been good. I found the balance of having enough breadth to have options in two markets,
Hmm.
but narrow enough to basically get to number one, number two for really important search terms. So, for example, if you're in the UAE and you search software engineering jobs in Dubai, I'm either number one or number two depending on the day. So it's basically me and Indeed. So I've knocked all of the big guys, off the top because they're just not niche enough on that topic. So this is really what's driven my traffic. I think people look at my site, I think who don't. It's funny. I talk to employers these days a little bit, and you can tell they've never heard of me,
Mm.
and they're like, how can you be in the top two on Google? Because they never heard of me. I'm like, because you're not searching. You're not there searching for a job. That's why you don't know me. But the job seekers do. The people who
Yeah,
want to work with you do. They know me.
absolutely.
You know.
And that's quite interesting. So there's a couple of things that I want to go on to based on a couple of things you were just saying. So you mentioned quite a lot about niching down based on keywords, what people are searching for, and those kind of things. So is SEO your strategy for attracting people? I know you're now kind of, like you said, like first or second place on Google searches for software engineering jobs in Dubai. But if you if you were if you were giving advice to somebody who was kind of starting out and had decided on a niche and wanted to kind of go for it, talk us through that journey of how you kind of looked at the keywords, how you decided on where to focus, and also now what you're doing to take advantage of that search traffic.
Well, the first thing I'd say is I think it's really important whenever you run any business and you're thinking about marketing. I think you have to be strategy agnostic.
Mm,
I think it's a mistake that people make is that they see, oh, that worked really well for that guy. SEO's the way. Go out and understand what other people are doing. It's really important to understand what all the options are. But what's going to happen is you're going to hopefully experiment a little bit with each of those. And then very quickly you're going to start to smell what sells for you. What's working, what is the method which is bringing people in. And that's what I did. I didn't just go, I'm just doing SEO straight away. It wasn't the only thing I did. I started posting things in different places. I think for me, a lot of them are obvious. I just can't see software engineers really, like serious software engineers, the ones that I want to attract because I know the employers will want to meet those guys. They are not on Instagram, right? They're not going on Instagram looking at like reels of guys wearing Rolex watches in Dubai, like come work in Dubai as a programmer. Here's my Rolex. They're not doing that. That's not
crypto
happening.
bro, yeah,
Yeah, so you quickly start to work out, yeah, the audience isn't there. It's here.
yeah.
Where are they? How are they finding these things? And so that's what I did. And that's how I came down to SEO. So I think that's really important. Keep that in mind because, you might be starting a job board in something very different. I mean, like let's say you are in construction, you're doing a
Mhm.
construction job board. I've been looking at construction recently because I love it. I love construction. I love construction teams. They're great, fun people to be around. It's like a crazy pirate. I mean, because of my promotion background doing concerts. I always think being in a concert is like being on a crazy pirate ship with all these random people, and construction's like that too. So I love it. So I've been like, maybe I want to do a job board in construction. But if I did construction, I would probably be thinking, maybe Instagram is good, maybe TikTok are good, because
Mhm.
I walk past construction sites and I see guys sitting there watching, some serious TikTok, about various stuff. So I'm like, it could work for you. So keep that in mind, try things out, see what works, and what is working is the thing to double down on. So back to
Interesting.
your question, I doubled down on SEO. So I think you want to know a bit more about how I did that.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So for me, when I first started, I was like, oh, I've never really done SEO as a specialty, and so I started looking at the topic and tried to understand it better. And there was a lot of snake oil, like a lot of snake oil. You spot it straight away. There's these, everyone's saying, you must do this. This is the trick. You got to do it this way. It's the only way to do SEO. It's like, it's most of it's garbage. Like the reality is that how does Google work? It's pretty simple. Google wants to recommend good content to people because the more it does that, the more you use Google and the more advertising dollars they can get. So that's what they've tried to do. That's the system they wanted to create. Yes, you might be able to game the system, you might be able to cheat it for a bit, but Google's going to change the system and punish you later. So don't bother. Just do things which Google likes. That's it. Mm-hmm. Then there's the next part. Someone you'll hear other people say that. But then what they'll try and tell you is, so you need to write great content. You need to write the best content there's ever been. And it's just not true. I mean, like, just do a Google search now for a lot of topics, and you'll see a lot of the content is AI garbage, and it's ranking on number one. So that tells you that currently the state of play in Google is that, unfortunately, they haven't really figured out how to guarantee high quality content right now. So they're doing something else. What are they doing? Backlinks. It's the backlinks. And what's a backlink? In case someone doesn't know, listening to this call, it's a link to your webpage. So it became very clear to me that you've got a strategy which involves get a lot of backlinks and then do content. Content is important to some extent. You do need some, but it's way less important than backlinks. But of course, everyone tells you the content's more important because they can sell you the content. It's very easy for someone to go, oh yeah, I'm gonna make content for you. Just pay me this money. Nobody wants to go and get you backlinks because it's hard. Yeah. I mean, if I talk to you, Martin, I say, Martin, please, can I have a backlink? I really need a backlink. In fact, for this interview, I said to you, "Oh, will I get a backlink?" Because it's so hard to get. They're so hard to get. You want one, of course you do, and but that's why they're the important thing that you need to build. So go and take the time to find a way to get backlinks. Okay, start if you're doing SEO on day one, getting your website linked to. It's so basic, but you will quickly find as those things start to get recognized and crawled by Google, that your rankings go up and your volume of traffic coming into your pages goes up. Even if you get your content strategy wrong on day one, once you put the backlinks, when you change the content strategy, that's like an amplifier. So get the backlinks right, if nothing else. So that's how I started. And I can explain more if you want about the actual techniques I use, the tools I use. But
I was going to say absolutely. I think that it's one of those subject areas that we haven't really dived deep into as yet in terms of backlinks and how to get them. Like you said, they're really difficult to get. So I'd be really interested to understand, what your strategy was, what your methodology is. So absolutely be really interested in hearing that.
The truth is that when you get into SEO, people are often trying to sell you expensive tools like maybe SEM Rush or something like this. And the reality is that probably at the level that we're working at, most job board owners, we don't have that much competition. If you've chosen a good niche, we don't have that much competition. And you don't need a crazy expensive tool. You can probably get away with something cheap like Uber Suggest from Neil Patel. It's not very expensive. You can buy like a lifetime membership to it, I think for like $400 or even less. And that's basically 2 months of SEM Rush, what they'll charge you. So you might as well go for the cheaper one and have lifetime access. And that's what I ended up doing. I tried SEM Rush and I thought, it's got all of these features, but I mean, they hardly make a difference. They just make you bamboozled and feel you've got to do all these stuff that you don't. Yeah. That doesn't make a difference to a guy not working at the top level. We're not working at the top level. So, you get your hands on a tool like that, and you can do things like look at your backlinks, look at other people's backlinks. Real simple. Maybe you want to start with, if you're doing this, maybe you want to put my site in to and just see what backlinks have I got. Because if I've got those backlinks and I don't have a lot of time to work on this site, right, then you can probably get those backlinks too, right? So just look at what other backlinks other people got in similar genres to you, and you've been given a hit list of all the places that you should go and get backlinks to. And those lists will usually tell you how influential one of those links is, how important it is. So you'll already get a priority list of which order you should go in. Work through the list, okay? And do this for multiple sites. find multiple sites, find multiple opportunities, and go and get those backlinks. It's time consuming. You can take you 10, 20 minutes to fill in a form or whatever the site wants to grant you that. Often it's things like becoming a member of like a website. Let's think of a good example. Product Hunt is a popular one,
Yeah.
right? Where you announce your site and your service. They'll give you a backlink usually. So things like that. And just go and do it. Spend a few days doing it, and in a few months' time, it'll pay off. I mean, my site right now is still not a huge, super well backlinked site. I've got a domain authority of around 18, but for a site which has been around for less than a year, it's not bad. And I look at people in Dubai, like not my competitors, but I look at recruiters, actual recruitment companies who have specialized in my niche, and I have a more authoritative site than they do. And they've been working for 10 years in that market, and they're supposed to be trying to communicate who they are and attract clients, especially employer clients, and they haven't even got a well-linked site. So what that means is that when an employer is searching, best recruiters in whatever, they're probably not ranking that high. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it pays off because I know that your visitor numbers are looking really healthy. Why don't you talk us through where you're up to in terms of metrics and numbers?
yeah, so I'm doing 20,000 unique users a month, getting to 20,000. And on that, I get 100,000 page views per month. And so what else have I got? I got the one I'm actually most happy about is my average time on page is 4 minutes and 21 seconds, which I think is like a crazy high time on page number. Like usually people just drop into a page and disappear. I don't like this, I'm off,
Yeah,
So
I think for a job
for
board,
me,
that's
it
pretty.
means I've got a really engaged audience.
Yeah.
And also my bounce rate, which if people don't know what that is, it means how often someone just arrives and leaves straight away. That's really common on most websites. People will just come, oh, this isn't what I want, I'm leaving. My bounce rate's 30%, which is like for a job board, I think is in the low category. So I feel like, I've really hit on something that with the job seekers, they really care about what I'm doing. So that makes me feel really good.
And looking at those metrics, 20,000 unique views. Did you say unique visitors? I couldn't remember that.
Unique users, yeah.
Unique users, sorry. So 20,000 unique users.
Sorry, unique. That's not the correct term. These terms, they get away from you. Users makes it sound like they're registered all on the site. That's not correct.
No. Users,
Unique visitors. That's the word.
Yeah. So 20,000 unique visitors a month who are staying on the site for 4 minutes at a time, and only 30% of them are bouncing. What's keeping people on? What's keeping people
Well,
on
I think
there?
there's a few things. I think, obviously, when I compare what I do with, say, Indeed or LinkedIn, I think like it's overwhelming when you go on a site like LinkedIn. You just go search for jobs in my markets, and you have to go through about 20 jobs till you find one which is good, or even relevant to a software developer. You might get like some crazy role about civil engineering or just stuff which doesn't make any sense, And I feel that what I'm doing is I'm curating. I have a kind of standard. I won't list jobs at, I don't want to, I don't think of a polite word, not good companies. It's like, I want to list jobs at companies that are serious about software engineering and they recognize that it's an important part of their product, not something that they just tack on, or at least a technologically led company, who has an open mind to employing international developers.
Yeah.
So I've curated that list. And so I probably post around 40 to 50 jobs a day rather than 2,000. And I think that makes the workload really manageable. So it's a kind of funny concept. Some people think, oh, if I had 2,000, I should get really long times on page. But I think what you're going to get is you're going to get people overwhelmed and just going, yeah, I can't, no, I'm off now, I'm tired. And I think like when you go to a site where if I check it once a day and I see the listings, I know the best jobs are here.
Yeah.
And I know I've spent my 5 minutes really well and found the best jobs, and I've only worked on the ones which are relevant to me. And what I generally see is I see some sessions which are really long, like 30, 40 minutes. And I think those people are maybe more active in the application process, those ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, I posted a screenshot on my LinkedIn today, actually, of some recent session replays that I got from PostHog, which is what I use for monitoring. It's a great
Okay.
service. I recommend it. And yeah, I mean, you can see like the whole mix of people in different countries and the kind of time lengths. But I was really happy just to see all of these people from all of these different countries. I have like Sweden, Portugal, India, Pakistan, the UK. I had lots of people in the UK. Obviously, US, although the US wasn't in that list actually, because I think at the time of day. But, it's a really healthy mix of people from all over the world and not too skewed to one market, which I think when you compare me to something like LinkedIn is very popular for Dubai jobs with
Mm.
the Indian and Pakistani market only. I think if
Okay.
you're putting a job up there, you're going to get 95% applicants from those markets. Um, there's a lot of social media content out there on TikTok, on Instagram, in those markets saying like, you must apply for jobs in LinkedIn. It is the place. You have to do it. You have to do it. And these get very viral.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it's more important to diversify your hiring sources. So if anybody was watching this who was a hiring manager, I'd be saying, you need to try and open the net a bit and appeal to people from everywhere, so you get the most diverse workforce. So
Yeah, no, it's really, really interesting. I'm interested in going back to that, almost that quantity over quality. Sorry, quality over quantity situation. So posting 20 to 50 jobs a day, not having thousands of jobs on there, and making it a really kind of quality experience for people who are coming to the site because only the best jobs are posted on there. I mean, is that something you're doing manually, or are you still automating that kind of backfill of jobs, or are you, because you said you curate it? How's that working for you?
So I'm the kind of guy that when I start a project, I usually try and do it manually as much as I can, because by doing it manually, I really understand the process. So I
Hmm.
started off for a very long time every day. I would literally go in my spare time. I would spend like 30 minutes to an hour at lunchtime going through the listed jobs on other job sites. And I wrote a little widget, a Chrome widget, which basically allowed me to instantly send that to my site, and it would then process it and
Yeah,
convert it to a job format for my site and post it. So that's how I did it. So it was human oversight and real curation of all jobs with automation just to push it. That's the way I
yeah,
did it. So
nice.
yeah, so I was manually doing that for a very long time. And a couple of weeks ago, I thought, can I replace me? Can I actually find a way to have the same kind of curation that I do mentally, automatically? And I deployed something into production which is doing that, and it's been doing it for about 2 weeks now. And I'm pretty happy with the results so far. But I'm going to keep monitoring it and see how it goes. And see how the traffic changes, things like that. Does it go up? Does it go down? What's going to happen?
Yeah,
So yeah,
interesting.
that's my current approach. Is I should automate it more because I don't really have an hour every lunchtime, forever to do that. It's just
Yeah,
not feasible.
I get
And
get
that
that.
hour at lunchtime is an hour that I want to spend doing stuff like this, which is why actually that you kindly invited me for this interview a while ago, and I couldn't take it because I was like, where's my hour going to go? I need that hour for jobs. And now I can
Well,
take these interviews. So anybody else
no,
wants to interview me, I'm ready. Come on, please.
that's cool. No, that's cool. I really appreciate you spending your lunch hour kind of talking to me rather than adding jobs to the site. And it's great to hear that you've gone through that kind of process of because, like you said, you want to get the best on there. So the manual curation is really important, and that's why it has to be manual. But then just starting to kind of slowly automate that sounds like a
The
really
automation
interesting.
still has manual elements. I keep
Yes,
like
that's what I said.
blacklists and whitelists of companies. So it's kind of, I start to realize that often you decide if you're going to post a job based on the company.
Yeah.
So I found a way to, it's not very complicated really, to say this company never take their jobs, like
Yeah.
never put them there. And then these job companies, yeah, okay, this is a job that it could be good, but review the content. If the content satisfies these requirements, post it, this sort of thing. So I created a kind of heuristic sort of process, and yeah, and it's allowed me to deliver what I do mentally, and I am happy with the results. The only thing is that I uh, I I think I've got what's called a review list, which is that if it's something which just falls outside of my whitelist, blacklist, I add it to a list for later. And I said, oh, I'll start off just reviewing those every weekend. I'll have a look, I'll read through the list and check out those companies. And if there's companies that I think they're good, I'll add them, and
Mm.
let their jobs get put on the site. That's the way I think I'm gonna do it for now. But at some point I might replace that too. But for now, I think that's good. It keeps that level of I've vetted this company. I think this company is good enough. I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's great. Like I said, it sounds very much like you're going down this route of quantity rather than sorry, quality rather than quantity. I'll get it right one day. But and that's like we said, that's what potentially is keeping people on site for such a long time is the fact that you're giving them that quality experience and not just throwing at them thousands of jobs that they have to sift through continuously. So it seems to be working. That's for sure. So look, final few minutes of this conversation, I like to ask our guest, that one final question, which is, if you could go back to the beginning of when you first were thinking about starting zero tax jobs, what would you tell yourself? What have you learned over the course of your journey, and what would you like to tell yourself right at the beginning?
What would I? Oh, it's such a difficult question. It
It's like
goes
an
against my belief system, that question. I'm a real big believer that you're only ready to do what you're ready to do, and you need to be more forgiving of yourself, of where you are in life. I don't look back at any decisions that I've made in my life with real regrets, because I recognize that that was the decision I was ready to make then. And I feel the same way about this. Like,
love
I
it.
can't
Yeah.
honestly look back and think, "Nice, that was right for me." Like I explained, it was a time in my life where I had analysis paralysis. And even if this project never comes to big money or something like that, whatever, or I don't know what I'm looking for with this project,
Yeah.
even if that doesn't happen, um, it was so good that it got me out of analysis paralysis and got me, working part time again on something for me. That's the most important thing. So I don't think I'd change anything.
That's a great answer. Great place to finish. That if it wasn't for this, you'd be stuck in analysis paralysis. And I suppose that old saying of you are the product of all your experiences, which I tend to kind of stick to as well. So I totally get where you're coming from. Sam, look, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today and really hearing about your story as well. So I'd like to say thank you so much for spending your lunch break and spending your time with me today, just sharing the benefit of your experience. Thank you so much.
Likewise, Martin, I really appreciate it. And yeah, if anybody ever wants to reach out, my email is open. It's on the site in the About section. Just send me a mail. I'm happy to have a chat if you want any advice.
We'll add all of your contact details to the video descriptions. People can get hold of you nice and easily, and really appreciate that.
That's
Sam,
great.
thank you so much.
Thanks, Martin. Take care.
Cheers.